Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm making a video about my experience in being in an emotionally and physically abusive relationship. It has taken me a while to actually do this video because I didn't want to bring up the past, and I put it so far back in my mind that I didn't really want to go through it all over again. But I hope that by me doing this video, it will help somebody, that's going through the same thing. And I may be looking down a couple times because there's some points that I wanted to make that I didn't want to forget out of this video. So if you see me looking down, it's because I've made notes to make sure that I didn't forget anything. So how it started. Him and I met through a friend of mine that I had went to college with. His cousin hit me up, and she was like, hey, I have a cousin that, you might be interested in. And so I was like, okay, cool. I was single. I was a single mom at that point, just dating around, trying to, not really be in a serious relationship, but just, to see who was out there. And so that's how we initially met, was through a friend of mine that I went to college with. He himself had just got out of prison, and when we met, he literally never left. He became clingy, and he moved in with me, very, almost instantly. And at that time, I really wasn't quite sure yet of what I thought about him. But yet I was kind of just going with the flow because he seemed like a good guy to me. He seemed like he was alright, But it took me some time to develop those feelings for him. And so, I want to say 5 months after I got with him, I ended up pregnant with my son, Micah. And when that happened, he was very good to me. He took care of me. And then after our son, Micah, was born, he became a really good father. He was there for us. He supported us. He spent a lot of time with his family. And then I got pregnant with my second son, Dylan. And again, he was a really good father. He did everything for us. He was there for me. Also maintained his role as a father. And then everything started to slowly change. His attitude towards me started to change, as if I don't know, he started to become annoyed by the things that I would do. And I really didn't think that I was doing anything to annoy him. But I noticed that things started to get physical whenever he would start yelling at me. And then there was times where he pushed me up against the wall when he got frustrated with me. Or he would corner me and then start yelling at me. So where I would not have a way out, and I would have to listen to what he had to say. It was then he started calling me names, and I used to be this amazing, beautiful person to him. No other woman could compare to me. He put me on that high pedestal. He made me feel like I was the most beautiful woman ever whenever I got with him. And then it all changed, and I became fat and ugly, and I was constantly told that, I didn't I didn't amount to anything, would never amount to anything. I wasn't good enough. Just anything that he could to tear me down, he did. And then the yelling turned into physical, you know, physical abuse. He would choke me and he would hit me. Sometimes just like, it was mainly out of anger when we would argue. And, you know, at that time, I would do anything and everything to hide those bruises from my family. Like, there would be times where they would go days and days and days without seeing me or, you know, hearing from me or anything like that, because I tried my hardest to hide all those bruises, hide the physical things that he was doing to me. And it was mainly to my face. I mean, I do have a couple scars where, like, he would, like, poke me with knives and stuff. Like, he would threaten to, like, stab me type of thing. Like, I do have scars from that as well. And it's mainly around my stomach area. But I hid a lot from my family, and I acted like everything was okay. And as time went on, it just got worse and worse and worse. And then that physical harm started going towards my kids as well. And he started to become physically and emotionally abusive to them as well. And they were there, you know, witnessing a lot of what was going on. And granted, my boys were young, you know, they don't remember to this day what all had happened. They do remember that he was very mean and ugly towards me, especially my daughter, because she was a little bit older. Like, for them, they weren't allowed to be loud or play aggressively or anything like that, because he would yell at them or spank them or punish them in any way that he could, because he was either like watching TV or something along those lines. He was busy or occupied doing whatever he was doing that really wasn't important. He then started being emotionally and physically abusive to my daughter as well. Like, he started telling her that she was ugly and that she was fat. And at the time, I want to say she was probably 8 or 10, like maybe somewhere along those lines. She was around that age. So she knew exactly what he was saying to her. She was old enough to know. He would tell her exactly pretty much everything that he would tell me, just to try to break her down as well. Then there was like an incident that happened where he had to go into the hospital because he got bit by something and it ended up infected, and they had to do multiple surgeries on his knee. Anyways, in the hospital, they gave him a lot of pain medication because he was always complaining that he was in pain. And so from then on, like, that is when I noticed, even whenever he got out of the hospital, that he was on drugs. Like, he started using drugs. And he may have been using drugs before then, but I hadn't really realized it until that incident had happened. Yeah, so he had put me in this box, and there was no way out for me. He made me feel like I was trapped and that I couldn't do anything, you know, to get out. There was a couple times where he actually did try to kill me. One time, or a couple times, he's choked me. And usually whenever stuff like that happened, it was usually outside, because I would try to take the arguments to the back, to our backyard, because I didn't want the kids to witness anything, because he did get out of hand. So, there was choking, and there was a time where he pushed me up against the fence and had a screwdriver to my back, threatening that he was going to kill me, that because I had told him that I was going to leave and I couldn't do it anymore. And so he threatened to kill me that time. And if it wasn't for, my neighbors that called the cops because they heard us arguing, I'm pretty sure he would have done it, because he was that far off on drugs at that time. There was times where I wasn't even allowed to sleep, really, because I would be woken up with a punch to the face, because he was like, "Oh, I heard you moaning in your sleep. Who were you messing with? Who were you sleeping with in your dream?" I'm like, "Really?" And so I would go sometimes days without sleeping, and because of that, and after things had ended between him and I, for a long time, I slept with a blanket over my head, because I was traumatized, because I didn't want to be hit in the face, while I was trying to get sleep. But now it's not like that anymore. Anyways, but towards the end, where I finally got the courage to finally say, okay, enough's enough. I had a friend that helped me get through it. And, that friend is now my ex-husband. He told me to get out. He told me that if I didn't get out, that my kids were no longer going to have a mother. And it gave me that push that I needed to do something about it, to get myself out. And I did. And, I think that if it wasn't for my ex-husband, then I wouldn't have got out the way I did. I wouldn't have had the strength, to get out. He's the one that told me and encouraged me and put that strength in me, and told me that if I didn't get out, that my kids would not have a mother. They would not have anyone. And that is what gave me the push, because I could not imagine not being alive for my kids. And then after things were done with me and him, my ex-husband was there to pick up the pieces and help me rebuild myself and make me see that I'm much more than what I was told, and things along those lines. And, I did become that stronger person. I did start believing in myself. I did start having more I just had more confidence in myself. I believe that every person comes into your life for a reason. And, a lot of those times it's, to learn lessons from them, experiences, things like that. But I do believe that he was put in my life to help me get out of a crazy situation, and then help me pick up the broken pieces that was left after that. And he was there emotionally for me as well, and he helped me get through a whole lot. And although things didn't work out between him and I, Like, I'm always going to be thankful for him. I feel like he prepared me to have a better and more healthier relationships for whoever I'm with. Like, and like I'll always be thankful to him, because if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have got out the way I did. But moving on from all of that, mentally, that situation is always going to be a part of me. It's always going to be there affecting me mentally, and it's going to be in the back of my mind. You know, granted, it's going to be, you know, buried under a lot of crap, but like, I'll always have those self-doubts of like, oh, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not good enough, you know, like, and I have to stop myself from thinking that way, because, you know, I am. But you carry those things, you know, with you, even if you don't want to, you carry those things with you, and it's hard to get over. And it's hard to put those things in the past and just forgive and forget, and it's very hard. But, you know, if you're in this kind of relationship, just know that there is an out, even though you don't feel like there is. There is an out. There are people out there that will help you. There are people out there that care about you and want to see you, you know, in a better relationship, you know, they don't want to see you go through what you're going through. And even if you have kids, like, or if you don't have kids, like, don't let that be your reason to stay, because, you know, that should be your reason to go, because you want to be alive for your kids. You want them to, you know, be raised in a home where, you know, it's nothing but love and laughter, and where they don't have to witness things like that. It's not fair to them. It's not healthy for them. And it's not healthy for you to be constantly, you know, worrying about how this is affecting your kids. And you gotta stop making excuses as to why the person does what they do to you, because a lot of people will make excuses for the people that are for their abusers. Like, you know, oh, well, I did this wrong, so I deserve it. No, you don't deserve it. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses for them, because there is no excuses. You know, there's none. And I know, like, you're scared and you feel like this is going to be your life forever and you should just live with it and deal with it. It's not. You deserve so much better. If you have kids, you and your kids deserve so much better. And there is life after this. Like, now, before, whenever I was with my ex, I didn't think that there would be any man out there that would want a broken woman with 3 kids. But he found me, and my husband that I have now, like, he found me, and he's amazing to us, and he's amazing to me. You know, we may argue, we may fight, but at the same time, he doesn't put his hands on me. Like, he tries his hardest to maintain his composure, and you know, he knows exactly where I've come from. He knows exactly what we've been through, and so he tries to understand that, and he doesn't want to put us in that kind of life ever again. And so the hardest part is leaving. The hardest part is leaving, but I promise you that it will be so much better when you do. And when I was so scared of leaving, but, you know, it wasn't easy even when I did leave, because, you know, I was constantly harassed, and I was stalked. There was so much that I even had to put a restraining order against him, because he would sit at the park. I live across the street from the park, and he would sit at the park and just watch the house day and night. And but I pulled through it, and eventually things will die down, and hopefully they will get over it. But you just have to take it step by step, day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour. But I promise you, things will get so much better. This is probably just part one of this video, because I probably have so much more to say. I have makeup on my hands. There, are emotions that go, farther and deeper than the things that I have talked about today. But, I can't fit it all in one video. But this is just like the basics of the relationship that I had. So yeah, there will be probably another video soon, continuing the conversation about the feelings behind it, and how exactly he made me feel and my state of mind about things. So, like I said before, just know that you are not alone in this, and that there is a way out. You just have to take that first step. And I promise you that there is much more to this life than what you're living right now. Do not settle. Do not think that this is going to be your life forever, because it's not. You just have to take that step.